Hello folks! Isn't this just amazing? But it's so strange to think that we are about a month into our Frontier Americana tour, and this is the first national park we've seen. It's strange. I guess you could consider this our first true Western national park visited, and boy do I have a lot to share for this video today. There's a lot we're going to be seeing. A lot of colors we're going to be seeing. Now take a look at this natural beauty. This painted desert, as it's called, goes on for miles and miles and miles throughout a big part of Arizona. However, in the eastern part of Arizona lies the heart of it all, where you can see the most concentrated, colorful beauty. And it turns out that there is a national park right here. It's here in this barren wasteland that marks the start of our day here at Petrified Forest National Park. I can't wait to see all the colors, not just the red, maroon, orange, white that's in this painted desert, but we're gonna see many, many more colors. It's this area that's almost akin to an artist's palette, teeming with all these different colors, vibrant shades. It's not something you will see often, not something you will see often in the Southwest even. So yes, I'm looking forward to sharing this experience with you all so that we can learn about what happened here over the millions of years of time that happened to create this landscape. Luckily for us, this national park offers a great way to experience all that the park has to offer. There's this little less than 30-mile auto trail which allows us to, in order, see all the different sites which really contribute to the wonder of this national park. Now, Arizona is world famous for the Grand Canyon, but there are actually a couple other national parks in Arizona, like Petrified Forest. Now there's a third that we unfortunately won't get the opportunity to see, maybe in the future, but I wanted us on the coverage project to get a good glimpse into something that's not a big canyon, but rather something that I think should draw a lot more tourism than it gets. So without further ado, let us start our day here in Petrified Forest National Park. No, I really thought of something right now. This looks like a pizza, a giant miles-wide pizza that got out of hand. You can see the pepperoni rising way past its prime, the cheese melted all over where it shouldn't be, and the little bits of the herbs scattered across it. I don't know. Maybe I'm just hungry. The classic Studebaker, a classic car of the early 20th century. You'd see plenty of these old models out on the road here. Yeah, in the middle of the desert. And why is that? Why would so many cars be out in this barren landscape? Well, it was because the mother road was here, Route 66. So everybody would get their kicks, get in their Studebaker, and drive across these open lands of America. So that means that Petrified Forest National Park is the only national park which has a preserved section of Route 66 within its limits. So these telephone pole looking things, that went parallel to the old Route 66 before it was decommissioned or moved, and yeah, now I-40 is the road that people go on through this desert land. As you can tell in this first half of today, we're getting a great introduction for many reasons why this national park is so special. And another reason why it's special is part of this ongoing trend we have here on our journey through the southwest portion of this tour. We've seen so many different native ruins. This is what remains of Puerto Pueblo. Like many places around the southwest, this area in eastern Arizona played witness to many different native societies for the last 10,000–15,000 years. And so it was here that complex societies arose. Actually, look at this. I just noticed that. Petroglyphs. I wonder what the story behind those were. Archaeologists are still uncovering the stories. And this is one location that is a big factor in these studies. Oh man, look at this. These drawings must depict some sort of idea. These people wanted to communicate some sort of message for a long time. These petroglyphs that are, I would admit, more visible than the ones we saw at the end of Albuquerque. Probably a sunny day does the job, but very fascinating stuff you can find throughout these mesas, hidden in the vast emptiness of the desert. Oh man, I can only imagine what the voices of the past would say about this location. Anyway, we still have a lot to cover. We haven't even discovered the main venue of our day here. We gotta get going. Now it's a sight you'd see anywhere in the woods. A fallen tree with its log serving as a bridge between two sides of a creek or stream. But I will tell you, and here's our first hint, this is no longer wood. It's something else entirely. Now in this little Mars-like crater, as it looks, you can see a bunch of these old stumps and brick-looking things and just pieces of debris all across that actually look like wood. Would you be at all surprised if I told you that this area of Arizona was once a hot, lush, green, swampy land full of trees, not just trees and other plants, but teeming with wildlife? Would you be at all surprised? Yeah, I dropped the hat in my car. Way too windy to deal with it. Getting lost here in the empty stretches of badlands or wilderness, but you can see we are on this crystal forest. Well, not really much of a forest anymore, but it was in ancient times, in the late Triassic period, right where all those continents that you know and love were joined together to make Pangea. Arizona was essentially a rainforest full of wildlife, from huge trees with trunks so thick as ever, and animals fossilized here that biologists come here to discover. As you can see, the ground below us, dry as ever. So by now, when you've heard me say petrified forest, and by now you might have asked yourself, where's the forest? That's the answer. There was one, just not here anymore. So how did it all disappear? Well, legend has it that these trees were standing mighty and tall and proud, but then something happened, and it's as if they got so scared, petrified, if you will. I'm just kidding. They didn't leave by running away, scared, frightened. No. What happened is that as the climate changed over millions of years, these trees were in a position where they were submerged, where there wasn't oxygen under the swampy waters embedded in the sediments. So not being able to decay that well, they retained their shape, although chemically, through those millions of years, the chemical composition inside these logs changed dramatically. They became fossilized, mineralized. And so, in the present day today, you will find these logs all over Petrified Forest National Park that look pretty much exactly like wood, except for maybe shiny colors around them. But chemically, oh, they are so different. This is as good as a rock. Just take a look at how vibrantly colored these petrified logs are. You can see tinges of red, blue, grayish, white and silver, even yellow a bit. Yes, this is what you're going to get at this national park. This is one of the world's largest collection of petrified wood. You can find this geologic anomaly happening in various parts of the world, but it is here in eastern Arizona that you're going to find the biggest quantity of it and perhaps the most colorful quantity of it. As the American settlers headed west and found along the paths that they were going this oddity of geology, they became very, very fascinated. It became known throughout the country to come here, especially as Route 66 was right next door. And so a problem started to develop. People were stealing the petrified wood found all across this area. And so, with an increasing risk of this area disappearing slowly but surely, it was motioned for the government to turn this into first a national monument, and then in the 60s, a national park. Petrified Forest is not just a place to look at a bunch of old rocks. No, certainly not. It is a place where one can find beauty in the geologic time capsule of history here on Earth. And it's so fun just to look at all these different things. You don't find these things often when you're on a hike or a stroll. Look at those colorful formations on this petrified wood. Petrified Forest National Park here in Arizona. It's like an artist smeared a bunch of paint on this wood, but that's clearly not the case. It's a lot of scientific stuff that I don't understand, but it's fun to just take a tour, stroll our merry way through the different trails and overlooks here. Such an oddity. Just be careful when you visit Arizona. Time zones are a bit tricky here. Yesterday at the Navajo Nation, anywhere in the Navajo Nation, it's standard mountain time. That's fine. They do daylight savings time just like the rest of the mountain time zone does. But the rest of Arizona in the summer, it's a bit weird. Well, it shouldn't be weird because they actually follow the normal protocol. They don't have daylight savings. So it's one time year-round. So during the summer, it's the same time zone as the Pacific. So that means where I'm from, Eastern time zone, that's 3 hours ahead right now. It's around 4:30 or so. So that means, you know, on the East Coast, it's about to hit sunset. But the only thing barricading the sunlight here are the clouds. Yes, Arizona has a monsoon season too. It gets wet around this time of year. But anyway, Petrified Forest National Park. I am proud to call this number 11 on our long, hopefully continuing list of national parks. In fact, I know so. We're going to go to a lot of national parks here on our Frontier Americana tour. So with that being said, taking a fun look at these rocks, minerals. Previously, millions of years ago, wood. Here at Petrified Forest National Park. More travels to come. I will see you at the next location. And the next location you all have heard of.